Django, Django, Django.
You have now entered the lab. Elvis Escobar, Fort Tama, episode 48. We do have a guest on this podcast that we'll get to momentarily, but as we always start this up, this episode or every episode, what's going on, Fort Tama?
Watching this game, my first quarter field goal bet got cooked, but hey, it's okay.
It did. I just seen that.
It's all right. I got Isaiah Likely in one of my fantasy leagues, so pick up of the week right there. I just got home from the gym, man. Good weekend. Can't complain. I'm chilling, bro. Chilling. Ready for this episode. Long time coming. I'm hyped, bro. I'm excited. I'm excited for this for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for the guests that we have entering the lab. Not only from a hoops,
shots deep.
Yeah, not only from a hoops standpoint, but from a creator, content, and all the extracurriculars. I'm actually interested to see what he has to say about all the off the court stuff as much as the on the court. So we haven't had a major episode where we really went and dove into NBA and hoops, but this episode we definitely will. So you could go ahead and I'll pass the torch to you, and you bring our guests into the lab.
Yeah, this is one of my boys from in high school. We didn't really talk much in high school, but we said what's up, did our thing. We hooped together, we played some ball. And man, what he's done with social media and just blowing up his page has kind of been crazy, because not too like everyone wants to get in that social media space and do something with it and build content, but really what he's done with his page and the way that he edits his videos and what he does and the work that he puts in, it's not just putting out videos and just uploading them. Like, he's behind the scenes, he's doing his AAU stuff, he's doing his, like, I'm sure he does everything. Like, I don't think this guy is like having other people do his stuff. He'll let us know, but that boy Tyler, Hoop Diamonds, I mean, get in here, bro. Welcome to the lab, my guy.
What's going on, guys? I appreciate you guys having me.
What up? Yes, sir.
Thank you for being on, man, for sure.
Yeah, so just a little bit about myself and Hoop Diamonds. It's a page / brand that I had started back in 2013. So I think actually this last October that just passed was year 9. So basically just, when people ask me how I came about starting everything, it just was rooted in the fact that I had a love and a passion for the game of basketball. And, at a point, the ball stops bouncing, as they say. And for me, it stopped bouncing a lot earlier than most. I had aspirations to play in college and NBA and whatnot. When you're a kid, you're a little more naive to those things. But, reality set in, I'd say about obviously towards the end of high school, but then freshman year of college, I was up in Orlando at Valencia, and just kind of realized that, I was a big fan of Ball is Life, Hoop Mixtape, the area's finest, like some of the OG channels that do a lot of the same things that I do. And just kind of realized that no one was really shedding any light to the talent that we had down here in South Florida. Obviously, we're a well-known football state, but we also do produce and have produced a lot of great talent on the basketball court as well. So after that year, I decided I didn't want to be in Orlando anymore. I wanted to get back home to South Florida, and just kind of picked up a camera and started the journey that has led me to where I am today. It started at the real small AAU level and local high school, and it's kind of grown and snowballed into something a little bit bigger. But just like I said, I'm happy to be here and chop it up about basketball with you guys.
Hell yeah, man. No, I'm definitely glad you got on. Like I said, we've been trying to get you on for a while because we want to do a preview of the season, but it's cool now because we got a little bit more knowledge of what's really going on and kind of how this season works. When you wanted to start the page, was it because of you wanted to do more NBA stuff, or was it more because how you were saying you wanted to show out how the culture is down in South Florida and how we have something down here for hoops? Because I know you have your AAU stuff, and I actually like that more than the NBA stuff. I'll be honest, because that's more raw to me.
Yeah, so it's kind of a combination of those things. Like you said, definitely want to shed light to South Florida because it's obviously where I'm from and born and raised, and I knew a lot of guys who I played with or seen play where I was like, damn, I feel like he should be here, and really he never got that opportunity. And funny enough, a lot of them go on to play Division 1 football, and a lot of them are now actually in the league who were both fantastic football players and basketball players, but there wasn't a lot of basketball culture, so I wanted to kind of spearhead that down here. And I'd like to think I have. I think it's grown tremendously since getting involved in 2013. But yeah, I think I also had a huge passion growing up with just the grassroots and high school scene itself. Like, I was that kid who would go up to Orlando, where back in the day, a lot of the national stuff was just under one roof at what was
Right.
called the Milk House. Now it's, I think, changed a million different times with sponsors, but that's where all the different AAU stuff would happen. And I would go up there. My team would lose in the pool play, and then I'd stick around for the last 3 days just watching it progressively weed out not bad players, but you start seeing the cream of the crop. And I just kind of got a bug, and I was like, man, I'm in love with this world and this culture, and I started following rankings and things like that. So I've always kind of been interested in that stuff. And then obviously now that I've built up a platform, I want to use that to shed light on guys who I think might be overlooked and might not be given the credit that I feel they deserve. And that's kind of the whole Hoop Diamonds aspect of it, finding that diamond in the rough. But I do enjoy doing the the NBA stuff and working with the guys who I've seen kind of come up. But I'll always have a little bit of me that wants to stay in that grassroots space for sure.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So when you wanted to start this whole thing, because I'm interested in how it started, because I look at your page now,
Same
and
here. That was going to be my
I
first
saw
question. I'm
your
always
page, and
interested going back.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, that's Tyler. Like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't even know at first. I was like, damn, all right, my boy making
Yeah.
moves. Like, was it more of a like you just love taking videos and you just love the game? Did you just build up a bunch of stuff as far as like content wise and like keep it in a
Yeah.
folder and then just start uploading it, or did you just upload everything all at once?
I was just going. To be very honest, it was like you said, kind of pairing my love with basketball and coupling that with a newfound love of being a creative and getting a camera. I remember it was a Canon Rebel T3i, just kind of a base level mirrorless camera. I think the highest setting they had was a 720. It wasn't even a 1080p camera.
Wow.
So I was rocking with that, and yeah, just kind of thought of the concept again of this diamond in the rough, and wanting to roll with that, and started branding it. And never went the personal brand route. I think that was a distinction that I made early on, where it's like I could create a personal brand, which at times I've struggled with. I feel like at times I probably should have done that along the way, but I just was
Mm.
10 toes down into building the brand of Hoop Diamond. So I was created a YouTube channel before the Instagram page, because I forget when Instagram started doing video. I was on there when it was just photos too, and
Right.
then
Yeah.
obviously when video came around, that changed the game. And then at that point, anything that had a video capability, I was just pumping shit out. So yeah, just fusing the creative side that I think I am pretty good at, and fusing my knowledge of the game, and just trying to create. Back in the day, there was such an emphasis on mixtapes. So it was three things. It
Mm.
was basketball, the videography, and then you would throw your mixing touch with music. And I still like to do that every once in a while, but those have kind of gone up and down as far as what the viewers want to see. I think there was a huge era when we were in school to see that on YouTube, and now you see that
Right.
more predominantly on Instagram. So it's just kind of interesting to see how all these platforms have evolved and where content lives.
You do
So
everything yourself?
Yeah.
Nice.
no, that's good to know, because that was probably one thing I probably would have got to. Is it's a it's a lot of content, and I'm realizing, me and Fort go back and forth with, how we do our content on our page, and I'll always say
Hmm.
we don't do enough. And even if we did more, I'd be like, damn, it's really time consuming, and it'll be hard to do a full time job and do that at the same time. Real quickly, now that that point's bringing up, how do you maybe people out there trying to own that have a business, that are trying to create content that they feel they don't have enough time, or people that are trying to become full-time creators? Because I'm looking right now, you have 7,881 posts, 366K followers. You've been on Instagram, I think I looked it up, 2013. So how do you delegate time to yourself, and do you have another job, and how do you figure that time management to make sure you're doing, both ends?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a balance that is tough. So thankfully, when I started, I was 19 years old, and I transferred back down to FAU, and 2 weeks in, I was in like a music appreciation class, and I was just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I was in a unique situation where I was living at home, I was going to school, and I basically said, "Hey, Ma, just give me a year, give me a gap year. Let me just, get a proof of concept." And she was like, "All right, if you can show me that this is going to go in a direction where you could potentially make this your job and your career, I'll support it." And I'm very blessed to have a mom who is willing to do that. Not everyone can say that. But as far as, like you said, time management and what it takes to make that become a full time thing is just consistency. I'm not the best time manager, but at that time when I just decided to pour everything I had into that, it just became an addiction. It became everything you did, morning to night. And again, my time management, my work life balance, definitely suffered. I'd say in those first 4 or 5 years when you're just literally trying to, you know, bring something out of, make something out of nothing and breathe life into a brand that doesn't even exist in most people's eyes. And after a while, it kind of cracks you a little bit. But once you start seeing, traction, and you start seeing things moving in that direction, you start realizing like, okay, I could take a step back and start balancing that social, family, work, all that different stuff. But I'd say my biggest advice would be just to commit to it and be willing to try different things because not everything's gonna hit.
To follow up on
Yeah.
that real quick for it before you go is that
Yeah.
hits home with us because we're in that time where if you don't know personally, or whoever's listening now, maybe new listeners or watchers, is we've been doing podcasts now. This is our second full year, first full year of Enter the Lab, and we've been seeing so much traction from going from 4 people involved to 2, but putting more attention to it, putting more effort. Obviously Ford's got a full-time job. I kind of have a
Mhm.
lot of different things going on, but the attention and the quality is there. So just knowing, and the word that I heard was consistency. Is we
Yeah.
always talk about it on this podcast, no matter what,
For
is
sure.
we agreed that if we're going to do a podcast together, we can't be that podcast that goes, all right, we're going to do a podcast every Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. You know what?
Hmm.
Maybe once a month. It's, hey, if you go to work for Monday through Friday, this isn't a job. I get that. So we don't want it to interfere with real life issues. But if
Hmm.
we have a passion, if you have something you want to do, I told Ford, we got to make it that we do. We say we're going to do this every single Monday or whatever it is, and we do it. And unless there's a life situation where you can't do it, understandable. But
Hmm.
being tired or being not in the mood is no excuse, because that you're not going
Yeah.
to see a result from that. So that stuck out to me, and I appreciate that because I love to keep on hearing that shit
Yeah.
in the world of business and marketing and creation.
Absolutely. No, I mean, to triple down, it's just if you want something that isn't currently your job to be your job, you have to treat it like it's your job before it. So like, I 100% agree. It's like, you know, the boss of a 9 to 5 is gonna expect you to be there no matter what. And if you don't treat yourself or hold yourself to that same standard, it will never, get to that point. So consistency, is king in my opinion.
For
So
sure. Yeah. I think the reason why I like your AAU stuff so much is because you're there before these kids get a chance to either go to like a big D1 school, maybe make it to the league. I know you got a good relationship with Colin Sexton. That's awesome to see. Is there any
yeah.
other like players that you've like built a relationship with? If you can talk about it, I don't know if you can, or if you don't,
Yeah.
it's all good. But anyone
No,
that like
absolutely.
stands out to you or that you've seen like the progress is crazy, like they've gotten so much better just from you, or not from you watching them, but in your time
Mhm.
doing it. You've been doing this shit for a decade now, so
Yeah.
you're up
Um,
there all the time.
yeah, I'd say the 3 I have the best relationship with and have seen over the years, would be Colin Sexton, Scotty Barnes, and Trey Mann with the Thunder. Um, Colin, if you've been following, which it sounds like you have, I ran into him later, so I didn't see him, from 8th grade or from like early high school. He was a very unique situation where he just kind of blew up his junior year going into his senior year, at least nationally. He was,
Right.
pretty well known in Alabama, or not Alabama, Atlanta, and was making noise, but just hadn't really broken through and made the rankings and wasn't getting that national spotlight. But he was playing on a huge platform with the Nike EYBL, which is arguably the NBA of grassroots basketball. It's just loaded with talent, and he was putting up numbers and just basically launched into the scene in a huge way. And that was kind of how I came across him. But with Scotty and Trey, they're 2 Florida guys. So Scotty's from West Palm Beach. I actually came across him from a trainer that I was working with and still work with today, Mike Souza. And he was like, hey, you got to check this kid out. He's an 8th grader. He's at Roosevelt. And at first I was like, man, I went to Don Estridge, so I don't really fuck with Roosevelt. So I'm not gonna check them out. But um, no, so obviously Roosevelt was a huge program in middle school who we went back and forth with every year with the championship. So I went up there. He was actually playing a county championship game against Congress, and it was just unbelievable. He was obviously 6'5". He was towering over guys, but I made a video and I was like, he's going to be special because what he was doing wasn't just being 6'5", back to the basket, give me the ball, lay it up. Like he was dribbling the ball, he was handling it, he was getting guys open, he was doing the same shit that he's doing today, at that young age. And after that, I was like all I needed to see. So I saw him progress from 8th all the way up to now. And then Trey was someone who I came across. He's up in what they call the Villages. He's right by Gainesville, and he actually ended up going to Florida. But I was up there in Orlando at Each One Teach One tryout, which is one of the best Nike programs here in Florida, also in the UYBL. And I was actually there. I forgot what the year was, but I was there filming the 16 under and 17 under tryouts, and he was actually just there shooting around. And after the tryouts, the director, Coach Reese, came up to me. He's like, "Hey, this is gonna be the next one." And he was like a scrawny little kid, but like could clearly shoot the lights out. Obviously was in there working when all his age group kids were probably home playing video games. He was there at the tryout that he wasn't even supposed to be at, and he made me interview him. And he was like, "Yeah, this is gonna be the next one." So I interviewed him, met him that day, and very similar to Scotty, kind of saw him at different events and made a point to get up there to the Villages for his senior year. And just over time you kind of build up some relationships with these guys, and it's been really cool to see the growth and to see where they've gone.
I was almost
I
rooting
love
for
that.
Scotty Barnes in the summer for KD trade, so that would have been interesting to have this episode and be like, oh, I know all about Scotty Barnes now, because for a second there I was starting to look into him, but I was like, you know what? Let's not drive myself crazy over potential trades, because I knew that KD thing wasn't going to last a day, a
Yeah.
week, or even a month. I knew it was going to go on for some time. And Scotty
Hmm.
Barnes was probably the closest becoming a net. And I would
Yeah.
have been excited for that, because he is, man, he's, as we say on this podcast, he's got the length, he's got the girth. He's got a little bit of everything that you want: athleticism, defense, and now
Yep.
offense is going to develop over the years. But to be in Toronto, I think he got drafted by a right team. The right organization and coaching staff for him to become an all-star. Maybe not this year, second year, but definitely in the
Mhm.
future. I could see that being him being that one of those freak athletes.
No,
For
for
sure.
sure. And I would definitely say, and I agree with you in your excitement, where if KD were to go, I mean, that's a guy you would want to be replacing him. Obviously, young, got him on a rookie deal with tremendous upside. You never want to see arguably the greatest scorer in basketball leave your team, but if you're going to have someone, come in and replace him, I think he would have been a great candidate.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Go ahead
I
for it.
mean, that's a great segue, kind of like, let's
Mhm.
get it a little bit into the cream of the crop, a little NBA
Yeah.
talk. Just, season's like 9, 10 games in.
Hmm.
My Heat ain't doing so well, but it's all right. We seem to
Tyler,
start
are
off
you a
slow.
Heat as well?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say
Okay. Just want to
over the
make sure
years,
we
like,
know where our alliances are,
yeah, no, if you ask me like who's my team, obviously it would still be the Heat. That dates all the way back to the '06 championship. But as I've been in it, I've started to kind of take that approach of just supporting guys that, either I like or, have built up a
Yeah.
relationship with. But my team would definitely still be the Heat. And
Cool.
yeah, not loving the start we're getting off to, but
Nobody
I just don't
does
think we
of the
I
top
don't think we
teams.
made enough. We didn't make enough moves. I think there were some moves to be made, and we kind of just
For
ran
sure.
it back, and we'll see.
Yeah. Nah, it's whatever. I'm not too worried about it. We'll make the playoffs, and then we'll figure that out. Kind of
Yeah.
just, I mean, I wanted to get into what's really like stood out to you so far in the young season. For me, it's really been Luca, and just Paulo, man, he's hooping. He's doing crazy
Mhm.
stuff. One of our boys is a huge Magic fan, so that's
He's
all
gotta
he's
be
talking
excited
about
then.
right now. Yeah, absolutely. Luca, man, I think it's his MVP season. Uh,
Yeah. Same
he's
here.
it's his to lose. I don't know about you. And the Bucks are undefeated. They haven't lost yet. And just the Western Conference, man, it's all over the place. So I feel like every
Yeah.
year with the NBA, it's always like this, and that's why it's the best league in sports.
Hmm.
No, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think you're onto something with Luca because the numbers he's putting up to start the year is pretty insane. I mean,
36,
I
9, and
think
8.5.
yeah,
Crazy.
they're triple double.
Crazy.
I just the only thing that concerns me with that is like another team who didn't really improve in the offseason with getting guys, and it's right. If anything, they lost. With Brunson going to the Knicks, so we're
Mm.
gonna be loving watching Luca have to do what he's been doing. But I don't know if that's gonna translate into them being that competitive. Not that that's had any effect on winning the award in the past. Obviously, you've had like Russ and some other guys, but he's obviously a special talent, and I can't wait to see him continue to develop. My biggest thing with him is he's doing all this shit and he's not even in the greatest shape. Like he could
Right.
really improve. Like he could take certain
Yeah,
things serious and maybe even take a whole nother leap up. So
yeah.
it's
That'd
scary
be
to see what he's
scary.
doing right now.
Yeah, that would definitely be
The
scary.
way I look at the MVP race, and I think we talked about this previously on the pod, is it's like MVP for dummies for me. It's like you look at a player's PER, and
Hmm.
that's usually the telltale sign of who's going to win the MVP. I think I tracked it back. I think I went back to even um, before Harden won it. Maybe the Curry era that he had those MVPs, and basically
Hmm.
everybody who was leading the league that was qualified for won the MVP. Obviously, Doncic right now is at 36.84, Giannis 33, and then damn, now you got a SGA at 28, but there's a little
He's
bit of a
hooping
drop
too.
off. So
Yeah,
I know it's
there's a clip
early.
right there.
Yeah, it's a drop off for sure. It looks like it's Doncic, and you don't see as
Hmm.
long as he remains healthy, you don't see him going down in that. He's only gonna
No.
either stay the same or get better. Uh,
Yeah.
damn, the NBA is off to a wild start on the court. What have speaking of obviously team wise, Miami
Hmm.
Heat, I'm looking at are 4-6. The Brooklyn Nets, my Nets 4-6. Philly 4-6. Lose Harden for a month. Um, I know
Yeah.
Fort mentioned the good teams, but the other side of that is Cleveland Cavs 8-1. Which man, we did the trade for the Harden deal and all that, and Jared Allen, Karis LeVert are my boys. I will continue to follow them, but you got some
Hmm.
teams on the
And they
bottom
just
of
got
the
Garland
East.
back too.
And they
Because
just
Garland was
right,
Yeah.
hurt.
and they just got better. They got three people that could be point guards, shooting guards, and small forwards. Well, Garland's more of
Yeah.
a small forward point guard, but they could all handle the rock. They could all shoot it well. They could all play make. And then in the West, Obviously, you got Phoenix that's up, Utah that's a surprise 8-3, and then at the bottom, LA Lakers, Golden State. So just talk to me as a pure fan of NBA.
Yeah.
What do you accredit maybe the slow starts? Because I haven't seen a slow start like this in a really long time.
So what I'm gonna say is I think, and this isn't a totally original take. It's kind of just been accruing over the last week, but I think we're kind of seeing a changing of the guard in the NBA. You know, we're seeing a lot of guys who are still obviously tremendous talents and superstars. You got KD, LeBron, somehow still managing to put up the stat lines he does and make the impact he does. But, you know, I think there's so much talent in the league right now that you really can't count anybody out. And as crazy as that sounds, especially when you've got a narrative kind of placed on a team right out the gate, and not for no reason at all. There's obviously huge incentive with Victor coming into the draft. I think this next draft class is going to be pretty loaded. Um, but it's hard to tell a team to just roll over. And when you got a good nucleus of competent players, like I'm talking about the Jazz now, um, who come from teams and have experience while still young, just telling them to fold and roll over. A lot of those guys are uber competitive, and it's one thing to have that maybe be the sentiment in your organization, but what you see on the floor is, guys who go out there and don't like to lose. And I think that goes all the way down the list. I mean, you got, like you said, SGA putting up great numbers with the Thunder. I don't really know if their record right now reflects it, but like that's a young team that's just built through the draft that I feel like could potentially win on any night. So
4 and
I
5,
think,
so they're not bad.
yeah, okay, so that's not too bad. But yeah, so the slow starts to the typically, the ones you would anticipate to come out hot. I think that just chalks up to finally maybe having that age, and obviously dysfunction plays into it too. As a Nets fan, I'm sure you realize you're watching both basketball and a
Absolutely.
reality TV show at this point.
Dog,
But
it's crazy. Kim Kardashian, the Kardashians, and sports is not a mix that I want to put together, but it is
no,
literally that.
yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, it does draw eyeballs to the sport, whether it's a positive or a negative way. But the fact that they're constantly in news cycles and headlines, like it just continues to build up the brand and awareness of the NBA. That's a whole other topic that I won't even go down. But yeah, I just think there's so much talent in the league that all those top dogs and guys that you would anticipate just coming out to a hot start are maybe taken aback, and they're like, "Oh shit! Like I'm gonna step on a court with a team full of young guys that actually are gonna come at me." Like you said, Paolo down in Orlando already looks like a vet. Like he's playing like a vet in his rookie year, his first 10 games. Doesn't really reflect in their record, but you just look at every single game and you really can't take it lightly.
Yeah, I mean, that change in the guard right there, that stuck with me right now because immediately as you said that, I looked up, NBA players under 25 and like shit, you got Luca, like we talked about, Tatum still under
Hmm.
25, Ja, Zion, Trey Young,
Booker's got to
Anthony
be there.
Edwards, yeah, Booker, Scotty Barnes, Garland, LaMelo, Cade Cunningham.
Damn.
Like these are like players too that aren't getting that national recognition either because they play in like smaller markets. Like Cade's a fucking hooper. Like this dude is
Hmm.
doing that shit like every single night, and like because he plays on Detroit or
Yep.
Lamelo because he plays on Charlotte, like they're not getting the national televised games, but like
Which they
Yeah.
won't, or Detroit, honestly, let's, if we're being business savvy, don't deserve, based on the last, what, 8 years,
Yeah.
10 years. So they don't deserve to be on national TV. But guess what? If that team starts winning or getting close to the playoffs and Cade is doing what he's projected to do,
Hmm.
he'll get the same love Jaws getting. He'll get the same love that all these other young hoopers are. But man,
Yeah.
the names you just listed off for it, this
and
Oh,
is
we
it's
haven't
this
even seen
league.
much of
This league is
Zion
the
either because he's been hurt. Like I
bro.
want to
This
see
league is
yeah.
the
Zion.
best. This league
Like
is awesome.
he's so good.
I'm telling you, like, and obviously I have a different level of like knowing who's coming into the league, but it's only going to get better. I'm
Right.
telling you, that class that you mentioned, Cade and Scotty, like that class alone, 2020, Jalen Green, who I have certain thoughts on. I
He's
don't know if he's
nasty
going to
too.
be the same guy that people anticipated, but there's just so much talent in the league currently and on its way in. That yeah, it's going to be a who's who, and I would like the NBA to maybe start leaning into those because to your point, in the past, what does Detroit have to show for as far as deserving one of those national games? But if
Mhm.
they maybe leaned into like, hey, Cade versus Scotty, a Detroit versus the Raptors, it doesn't sound sexy, but you could build up a storyline where those two
Yep.
kids went to Montverde Academy together, and they
There
went.
you go.
Uh, I think Cade went what 1, and then Scotty 4. So like top 5 picks, and you could just start getting creative with getting some of these young guys
If you
out there
market
because
that right a week before and do it every other day on whether it's ESPN, TNT, you could
yep,
get more eyeballs on it for sure. That's a good point.
100%. And it doesn't have to be your headline game. It doesn't have to be your prime time game, but doing something like that to just continue to bolster the youth who
Yeah.
hoop heads, really, really know, but maybe the casual fan doesn't quite know. And then you
And then
can
maybe
couple
one of them hoops out, like balls out in that game, and next thing you know, you have something that like whoever came up with that idea, whether it was an intern or somebody, like you look like a genius right now for putting that on 7 p.m. on a
yeah,
Tuesday or Thursday.
that's all it
Yeah, for
takes, man.
sure.
So yeah, I think the thread here is that the league's in good hands. Even with the LeBrons and CP3s and KDs potentially being on their way out here in the next couple of years, there's so much talent.
Yeah. And then I'm glad you brought up like talent coming in, and I kind of just want to sidebar this into it, and we'll get into
Mhm.
like predictions and all that kind of shit later on. I kind of looked at your video saying why you think Scoot Henderson is a better pick
Mm,
than
Yeah,
Victor,
great
and
debate.
yeah, that's a hot topic, and like me,
it's
like
a hot top,
it's
a hot
hard.
take for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard for me because I got so much other stuff going on, like just in my
Yeah.
personal life and like shit that I got to do that I'm not really looking that far into it. Even though like the draft is like coming up in April or
Mhm.
whenever it is nowadays, June. Why do you say that? What makes you bring that up? Because you're one of the only people I'm hearing say that. You and Ball Don't Stop.
And
Okay.
before you go in and give a little background of each athlete, assuming that whoever's listening doesn't kind of know who we're talking about.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
Victor
So
crazy. Victor's doing some
the
wild stuff.
the first one obviously being Victor. So my knowledge and history and background of him is actually pretty limited. It's about what everyone who does follow as intently as they know. So it's a freakish athlete. He's about 7. I think he's listed 7'2", but he's towering over Rudy Gobert. So he's like
Shit,
7'3",
still
7'4".
growing probably.
Yeah, and he's a string bean, so he's definitely got some size to put on and potentially grow even more. Handles the rock, shoots it like he's basically like an alien that you would just create and make into a good or a great basketball player.
Yeah, you make him in the lab.
Exactly, it's like a creative player that you can't even accurately make in 2K. But yeah, so he's come onto the scene, I think, internationally in the last 2 years. Has played with France at some of these world championships, which USA goes in and dominates at all age groups. But if you just even have a good game against the USA, you might still lose by 30 or 20, but like you hold your own and you show, you got some chops, you all of a sudden find yourself on, draft boards and start having a lot of people looking into you. So he falls into that category. And, on every metric, he passes the eye test on, a can't miss prospect. What I said, okay, before I go in, Scoot, on the other hand, is an American-born, point guard from Atlanta. He's someone I saw play for the first time when he was a sophomore over at Kell High School, and he just, in a lot of ways, he reminds me of Colin. He reminds me of Russell Westbrook. He's a very intense, um, hardworking, athletic guard who was the first in not even his class, but I think in history to not finish high school and then play professionally within the states. So I made that point in the video because you got Lamelo obviously did the same thing but went over to Australia, and guys before him, I don't know if you remember Brandon Jennings. He was actually one of my favorite point guards ever
Game 6,
coming out
Brandon
of
Jennings.
high school. Yeah, and he did the same thing where he didn't finish school and then went over to play. I forget where. I think it was in Spain or one of those leagues. And they were the guys kind of paving the way for doing that. And then Scoot did this where he joined the G League Ignite team, which is the NBA's version of.
I love that
Um,
league, by the way, and that team.
yeah, I think it's a great concept because I'm
Hmm.
a huge believer of guys being able to make their own decisions and not being forced to go to college if they're clear cut pros. So the G League Ignite team being able to allow a kid to go over there, work with professionals, play with professionals, like get coaching year round, and really develop themselves to be a professional basketball player. I think it's a huge opportunity for him. So Scoot's been taking advantage of that now for a whole year, and now he's in his second year. So he's the only player who's done it twice. Um, and basically, they had Victor come over and play a doubleheader in Vegas. And the first game, while Victor played well, Scoot stole the show because they won. They got up big and he balled out. The
I
second game he
watched.
got hurt. Yeah, in the
I was
second
gonna
game he
say
got
one of
hurt.
those games I watched live. I'm not sure which one it was with
Yeah,
both matchups.
yeah. So they had a great showing, and basically my take is I just know what I'm gonna get from Scoot. I've seen that player come up. I've seen what he's able to do in the league, and I just think I like knowing what I'm gonna get versus this potential that in a lot of ways I think we've seen too many cases where it doesn't pan out. I mean, Kristaps Porzingis was literally had the whole league in shambles when they're like, "What are we gonna do with this 7-3 guy who's shooting it and
Right.
bringing the ball up the court?" Still a great player, but got hurt, and he's not quite the same player he was before that. You got a lot of guys who are over 7 foot who just are at risk for injury. Chet Holmgren this last year just got drafted high by the Thunder and gets hurt in a summer league game.
What was his
So,
injury? Was it a foot or an ankle? Which one was it?
I
Because I
believe it
know
was a
big
foot.
guys usually like break their feet. Like Kevin Durant had that. Brooke Lopez, I know, like they
Mhm.
just tend to break their feet. It's like a thing. I don't know if that was the ankle injury or something.
He tried to take
Yeah,
a charge on LeBron.
Yeah,
yeah,
one of
that
those
was his
Drew
first
League
mistake.
types.
That was his first mistake, trying to do anything against LeBron in a summer league game, but,
There you
yeah,
go.
I think it was a foot, and unfortunately, I think it was what they call the Liz Frank. I'm not a doctor, but I hear Liz Frank, and
Yeah,
I know
I've
it's not
heard that before. Yep.
yeah, so, it's just overall, I think my take is centered around just risk averse and not risk averse in the sense of, all right, well, I just don't want to draft a guy who I think is going to get hurt. But I think the alternative is actually a really good
Higher.
basketball player. So I say in the video, if he pans out to be exactly what people expect, I'll eat that humble pie. I'll realize that it's a freezing cold take. But I just think in the past, I know what I'm going to get out of Scoot, and I don't think you could be looked at as making a wrong decision when you know you're going to get someone who's going to contribute for you and add to your organization for years to come. So
It's crazy because I love that take because when I personally evaluate, and way more, I've been playing basketball and watching basketball a lot, but you're on that other level of kind of knowledge. And when I evaluate the same, I think of the same thing where it's like if you call Giannis a Greek freak, what is this dude? What
Mhm.
he's an alien. You said it great. And Scoot, where it's like I think you get more long term from a guard, a shooting guard, or somebody that is a hybrid. He
Mhm.
might not be sexy because he's not going to be, marketable that much off the bat. Because obviously we love people that are tall, long, and could look like something we could never be.
Yep.
But that 6'4", 6'5" guard is that Dwayne Wade. That's
Mhm.
how I look at it. Is like you got that Dwayne Wade where if he has the ability and he interviews well and he says
Mhm.
all the right things and you feel like whether he's a rookie on the team or in his 10th year, he could still be the same leader. That's the guy you take. And that's my philosophy. And it's funny you said that because when I evaluate draft guys and I'm just like putting my unprofessional opinion on things, that's kind of how I look at it. It's, hey, the long-term game. I know the
Yeah.
sexy pick. I know the marketing aspect, but who am I going to get that's going to be a team player, a leader, and then of course has a skill. And man, I watched Scoot in that game where they played last month.
Yeah.
Very entertaining game, and great job by, I think it was on ESPN, for broadcasting that game, because that's something that we need more of. We need, and they started it with the LeBron era of high school games, and what we were all raised in. We were all 12, 13 years old, well, me, watching that, and
Yep.
watching the Ignite team, now that they're quote unquote almost in between college, or in between high school, in between professional. They need to put more games of the Ignite on ESPN or some type of circuit, because there's at least 4 of those guys going in the first or second round.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's definitely where they want to go with it, is be a viable, intermediary between high school and the league, because for so long, and again, a topic for another day if you guys want to get back on a pod, but my thoughts on the NCAA is just they've had a stranglehold on that for far too long. And even though I look at overtime as a competitor, I think what they're doing with their league is also revolutionary, and giving kids an option. Is it the right option for everyone? No, but we can't be touting free market capitalism left, right, and center, and then limiting a player's ability to go make money off of their name, image, and likeness. So G League Ignite, overtime, all these other routes. If it fits a player, his family, and their situation, I'm all for it. So yeah, I agree. ESPN, CBS, Fox, whoever wants to pick up those TV rights deals, go for it, because it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's definitely something that needs to be picked up and just taken advantage of, because it's right there for the picking.
Hmm.
Kind of just going right back into NBA. Is there any team or any player in specific that you're most excited to see? And kind of how do you? It's hard because the NBA is so wild and shit happens
Yeah.
every day. But is there anything that you expect to happen, or like kind of what are your predictions, like just going on into the season, and maybe championship wise or MVP wise? I'm not even going to
Yeah.
say 6 man of the year, but maybe like most improved player type wise that you have an eye on, or that you've been looking at for a little bit now.
Yeah. So obviously a little bit of bias here for the first one, but I think this run that the Jazz are having might not be as fluky as some people might think. Um, Again, it's when it comes down to it, like, these are professional players. Yes, they get paid, and in a lot of people's eyes, like, that should be it. Like, if your organization wants you to tank and lose for the
Yeah, these
future,
pros don't want to just sit there and tank and lose games. Hell no, man.
no. It's just they're not, most of them, not all of them, but most of them are just not wired that way. So, I think you could continue to see the Jazz winning, and then it would really put a lot of pressure on Ainge and the organization. It's like, do we just roll with this and see what we can do? Do they then
Mm.
potentially maybe flip some of those picks that they got in the summer to, tank for
Try to get some back, because they need
and
some back.
you get someone in a disgruntled situation,
Hmm.
and wants to win, and obviously they seem to have a nucleus. I follow the guys that I film, so I watch a lot of OKC, I watch a lot of Jazz, I watch a lot of Raptors, and I'm watching the Jazz, and they just enjoy playing with each other. They make the extra pass. They are really locked down on defense. They have like one of the highest clutch ratings right now, so they're hitting big shots in big moments. I think that could potentially be something. I just don't know, when you're talking about building for the future, and if someone in that organization like Ainge truly loves Victor, I don't think he would allow that to happen. I think at some point, maybe it's the opposite. Maybe they say we're winning a little too much, and we should get
Mm.
some of these guys who don't like losing out of here. So maybe someone, a few people in that organization, go, get traded to a team that's trying to compete for a championship this year. As far as early picks for the finals or like a championship contender, I think
It's so tough, man.
it's so tough because it's still so
I'm putting
early.
you on the hot seat. I'm putting you on the
Yeah,
hot seat.
Got to. You're gonna enter the lab. You gotta expect some heat.
yeah, and this isn't going to be one that you like to hear, nor do I like saying, but I actually think that the Celtics will probably find themselves back.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things, and it was such an early, not even a take, but it was like a feeling I had, and I made a post about it. and I was like, damn, am I drinking the Kool-Aid too early? But I think Malcolm Brogdon, you know,
Yes.
on that
He's been
team
playing off
really,
the bench too. I
Yeah.
looked it up today. Actually, I'm like, he's not even getting burned. He's like, they're like almost plotting and scheming for him to like turn
They
up
know what they're
week
doing.
by week. Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
100%, because I mean, he's not going to come in and just take Marcus's spot, but
No,
he'll damn sure be a great presence to come off that bench. And I think he fills a lot of the voids that maybe they lacked in last year's finals, because they had
And
a
he
great
they
plays
run.
did lack some point guard, true point guard vibes. They did.
Absolutely. I mean, I like Peyton Pritchard. That's another guy I got a chance to see when he was in high school, but he's not going to be the guy who
You
gets
kind of
over
look
the hump.
like you kind of look like Peyton.
Stop.
Nah, I'm playing. I'm playing.
He's living my dream, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, he can hoop. I'll be honest.
Every
His
time he hit a 3, I was like, "What the fuck?"
yeah,
That was
and
sick.
he's
I was
a
dying.
net killer early on. So anytime that boy got the rock on the 3-point range, early on I was like, "Fuck this dude," you know, not to be whatever, but little small white dude like chucking up
Crazy,
threes,
man.
he would kill us. And I'm like, all right, somebody hit him when he does anything but shoot. Like, knock him down, because
Yeah.
he's got that heart. He's got that fight. Like you know, he's got that he's a gym rat. He's got that high motor.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that Celtics pick. I'm not even gonna hate, man. I can't, because like they just went to the finals. They played against a Warriors team, like they're seasoned, they're veterans,
Yeah.
they've been there before. But
Mhm.
now you have Tatum, who's a fucking dog. You got Jalen
Unreal.
Brown, who's a fucking
Dog.
dog. And they got a taste of that shit, and they
They got
get
a
it.
team of dogs.
Yeah.
They want that shit back, bro. Like
Hell yeah.
that's something to consider. So hey, I love Tatum. I just wish he was on any other team besides the
Right.
Celtics.
For real.
It's hard to like and appreciate someone's game when they're on a team that you despise, but he's someone that you have to. And I totally agree with what you said. Like, I mentioned Brogdon earlier because he's the addition, but like the core still is just the fact that you have two guys who are entering their prime. Like, you know, maybe
Yeah.
not even there yet. They might still have another 2 levels to go up, but you know, those two, like you said, getting a taste of the finals, getting a taste of what it is to be on that stage. You're going to see them, if not every year, every other year. Like, they're going to be consistently vying for that spot if they stay together. But
Yeah, for sure.
I would say the Celtics are definitely probably the team to beat. And then also, I guess the other one that I would give a nod to is the Cavs. I think the Cavs are for real. As much as there's a little bit of bittersweet there, because having been with Colin in that situation and him basically making something out of nothing for so many years, to see him not get to experience that with them is a little bittersweet, like I said. But the fact that they made a deal for a guy like Donovan, who's playing out of his mind, and paired him with a guy like DG, who I think is also incredible. They have the tools to be really successful this year. Obviously, it's with anything, with any championship run, it comes down to just some luck and not getting hurt and not dealing with injuries. But I think, you know, they're going to be a really, really competitive team as well. The West, I'm going to be very honest, I haven't watched a whole lot. I know Portland's playing tremendous, but I haven't seen a lot of their games firsthand. A guy I filmed from Orlando, Anthony Simons, is starting to step
He's
up.
nasty.
Yeah,
He's
What a
nasty.
come up he had last season, huh?
Yeah.
yeah.
Jesus.
The whole CJ trade, I think, was literally just to clear the path for his ascension.
Yeah,
because
100%. You have 3 guys that could not do similar aspects, but are kind of tied into that. All right, we could do without one, and they figure take Anthony. He could, you know, he's at the time low budget. You know, now
Yeah.
he's gonna, you know, making that money. But they definitely
Yep.
made not the. I think they made the right decision where it's like, hey, we seen what the other 2 had to do. Let's see what this 2 can do together, and I think they made the
Yeah.
right decision. But man. That's another guy we forgot to mention that's below the
Yeah,
age
he's
of 22,
crazy.
23.
Yeah.
Hooper.
Yeah. But you're 100% correct. I think in a lot of ways, it's like in a lot of teams and combinations of players have gone through the same thing, where it's like, how many times can you continuously run it back? You know, the Jazz, speaking of the Jazz again, but Donovan,
Yeah.
you know, Rudy, all those guys.
Rudy, yeah.
you
They
can
all
only-
knew it was time.
Yeah. It's just after a while, you realize that that's just that's the maximum of this team, and we got to just go a different route. And I think that is definitely the same thing with Dame and CJ. They were great together. I think there was a lot of good years there, but they made the conscious decision to say we're going to roll with Anthony.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, I'm with that. Go
I
ahead.
was going to say, before we wrap this up, first of all, great conversation, great vibes.
Thanks, bro. Thank you so much.
To the point where we're about 45, 50 minutes in, and there's so much more that I wanted to get into. And I think hoops is one of the things that all three of us, especially me and Fort, can dive into, whether it's on the court, off the court, or just like little nuances. And we have yet to talk hoops on this podcast, Enter the Lab, even dating back to last season, that we've really gone into detail like this. So we appreciate you for allowing us to do that. And thank you for, showing your expertise in that. And, obviously this is a time at the end of your time here in the lab is promote anything you got going on now, anything going on in the future, or whatever you want our viewers or your listeners and viewers want to hear right now.
Definitely. No, first I definitely want to, say thank you guys again for having me. Definitely down to chop it up and talk hoops whenever. So we could definitely do this again if you guys want.
Run it back.
But yeah, I mean, I just go subscribe on YouTube, check out my channel, my Instagram pages. I got some things in the works. We got high school coming up around the corner. Obviously, we're right in the middle of NBA season, so lots of content for that. I'm going to be doing a little bit more on-camera stuff. It's been something I've been wanting to do more of in the past, but kind of just getting constrained with travel and COVID and everything. But going to start, doing more diverse content than I have in the past on the channel, so I'm excited about that. And then I also have, I believe, a Snapchat show, should be in the next week or two, coming out. I don't know if anyone's on Snap anymore, but it's been an opportunity that's came up, and I'm excited to get that rolling too. But other than that, again, just thank you guys.
No, I mean, hey, it doesn't matter what avenue it is. You gotta get it, man. Like I still use Snap every now and then. Who cares, man? But
that's
hey,
the thing.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was dead, but apparently it's not. So I'm gonna.
No, it's not. People. I don't scroll through the feed of Snapchat as often as most people, but I know there's people out there that go through the same thing. I heard somebody say, "Hey, it was on ESPN Snapchat." I'm like, "Oh shit!" I don't even go on that, but I think I clicked on it maybe once. Sometimes you're bored. You're just, just going through social media, whatever it is. But hey. You got to put on every platform because you could hit that target audience. So I learned a lot from this session of content and creator, and we appreciate you for sharing that knowledge for us and also the people that are listening and watching that probably have businesses and maybe have other aspirations such as yourself once did in what, 8 years, been able to do that thing.
Yeah. No. But again, I appreciate you guys having me. If you ever want
hey,
me back
real quick, breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Dwight Howard signed with Taiwanese pro team Taoyuan Leopards.
Are you for real?
I'm dead ass.
Oh no.
Hey Tyler, man, thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you coming on, entering the lab, kicking it with us, man. This is not going to be the only time. You'll be back again for sure.
No doubt. I'll see you guys. All right.
Tyler, yes, Hoop Diamonds, enter the lab, exit the lab. Peace, brother.
See you. Have a good one, guys.
Bro,
yes, sir.
That was awesome.
Great episode.
Man. I love
great vibe
and fucking just talking about their expertise and just getting to know them more. And like I've known him since high school, but like we really haven't like talked like that. So just like having him back on and talking about something that we share a passion and we all love is just great. Like
there's a few times where it's like I'm looking at the time. I'm like, oh shit, 40 minutes went by. You don't want to keep somebody too long or too short. But I knew we were getting to the too long part, and I was like, damn, we gotta wrap this up. And I'm like, I was just freestyling 3 other questions, and I know obviously with you, it's like, all right, so we're 10 games in. We're gonna have to do like a post, maybe an all-star post. After All-Star, just to kind of recap.
Because that's when it kicks. That's when it gets hot after All-Star break.
And then kind of maybe an end of season, maybe pre. So we have you know,
We only
enter the
talked
lab.
about
We
on
have.
the court stuff. We didn't
That's
really
what I
get into
mean.
off the court stuff that we
And
really wanted
I
to
think
do.
that'll build. I didn't know him personally to get into the off the court. I don't want to put him in situations that he doesn't want to be a part of. So
Right.
that's what we do. That's
Yeah.
if there's controversy, let it be up to us, and that's what we're gonna get into. So before we wrap up episode 48, let's get into some controversy. Let's get into Kyrie Irving.
Oh, let's go.
He
He
had
didn't do shit. Free my boy.
At first, since we talked about it last week, the Brooklyn Nets are about to play against Luka and the Mavericks in about 5 minutes. Where we left off last, because I try to keep notes on the podcast, was they demanded him, and I'm saying demand. They most likely forced him to pay $500,000, which to a Jewish entity, which they did not accept. It turns out, and then the Nets wind up fucking suspending homie for 5 games and said it's a minimum at least 5 games, and they had stipulations. Let me read the stipulations, because whether you were on the side a week ago, whether it was right or wrong, I think it's gotten to the point where I think we're not talking about whether Kyrie was right or wrong with what he tweeted, what he said, what he didn't say. I think we've gotten to the.
Hold on. What he retweeted.
You're right. He kind of didn't really say anything.
Retweeted.
Yeah, and that's the real conversation, right? So according to Shams sources, and this was we're recording this on Monday. This was on Saturday evening. Sources: Nets have delivered Kyrie Irving 6 items he must complete to return to the team. 1, apologize/condemn movie that he retweeted, which he basically has. According to most people, he hasn't done it like they would want, which is another whole conversation, because it's like, how do you want somebody to apologize how you want? Anyway, Second thing, donate $500K to anti-hate causes, which he already agreed to, and then that entity declined it or refused it. Third, sensitivity training. Fourth, anti-Semitic training. Like he's fucking John Wick or something. Fifth, meet with ADL Jewish leaders. I don't know what that is, and I can assume you guys could assume what it is as well. Sixth, meet with Josai, who's the owner of the Nets, to demonstrate understanding. So I'll go first because I'm tied to this, and I'm fed up with it all. From a Kyrie standpoint, from an organization, I'm at the point where I'm blaming the organization as much as Kyrie, because we're in a world where I get that you have to make sure that you're satisfying social media and you don't want people to protest. Hey, at the end of the day, look out for your employee first. I understand if an employee fucks up to the point you need to, maybe coach and talk to that employee, but it seems like a lot of the times the Nets are choosing whatever the public is saying and whatever that narrative
NBA wants
is.
them to do.
Yeah, and whatever the
And
NBA, whatever agenda the politics are involved, they seem to choosing that over their own player. And when you employ a player, you sign a player, you have relations with a player, it's like you hope that you have their best interest first and obviously go accordingly. Okay?
It's not a role player. He's not a role player. He's not coming off the bench. He's your second best player on your fucking team. Like, I could understand if it was just like, I'm not even gonna say some bum because no one in the NBA is a bum. But I can understand you doing this if it was just some dude coming off the bench, like 8th, 9th man. But this is like, you brought him in before KD. Like, this is a cornerstone of your franchise. And at some point, like, I don't know Kyrie. I've never met him. I've never had a conversation with him. But how he's operated in the past and how strong-willed he is, he could get to the point, and there's already been tweets and rumors about it. He could get to the point where he's just like, "Yo, fuck this, fuck you. I don't want to do all that. I don't need to do all that. Trade me, or I'm just gonna retire. I'm just gonna just release me."
What's
And
got me also fucked up is we're trying to paint this human being. I'm trying to dive it down to like he's a human being. Yeah, like being a basketball player doesn't mean you know everything because let's be honest, the most part they're either just like every other idiot that lives next door to you, or they're every other idiot living their lives. They don't have an advancement. They're human beings that didn't go to college, are coming from a certain dynamic of life, which is no fault to their own. I'm just keeping it real. Where they're not privileged in certain senses. It's like we're treating them as if they are all knowledge. They should know what to do, what not to do, and that's not right. The thing that got me is that first of all, the things that I read out um, is insane. For you to list as an organization, we need you to do these 6 things in order to come back to the team. And it came out today that the organization put out these stipulations, knowing that he probably wouldn't do all 6, and then they could release him or be like, "Hey, it wasn't us, it was him." Now we're playing a different game. Now we're playing politics. We're no longer
yeah,
playing. We're no longer playing, and this is what people need to understand. Everybody that was all up in arms is, oh, he fucked up. He said that wrong thing. We could probably all agree. We'll find a common ground. Now we're playing a different game of politics and business where we're going to make him do these 5 or 6 things. And if he doesn't do it, it's not on us. It's on him now. And then we could play oh, he's been insubordinate. And look, it's not us. We've tried to do everything. And I'm not for that. I don't go for that in my personal life with friends or family. I don't play that game of drama or manipulation. And I feel like in sports and we're talking sports, I'm not trying to get heated. I'm not trying to seem like like I know everything, but it's my basketball team that I've rooted for since 2001 to 2002, and I've had an affiliation. I paid a shit ton of money in order to support, whether it's going to games or, as you see me in all my gear.
yeah, decked out.
But it's like I have an opinion, and my opinion does matter because I am a fan of the team, and it's gone too far. It's gone too far overall. I get it. He fucked up. Let's say he fucked up and he did something really wrong. Now you're burying it. Now you're trying to bury him. You're trying to take away his character. This is a guy that on his off time during the summer, away from basketball, donates a lot of money towards women basketball. And this is an organization that supports women basketball. Things, whether it's urban or ethnic backgrounds. And he donates millions of dollars per year. And then you have Nike coming out saying that they won't continue his endorsement with Nike, and his KYRIE 8s, I think, won't come out. You've supported way more people. You've supported way more people that have done far worse. Far worse. Like not only violent crimes, but things that are like real facts, like criminal. KYRIE hasn't done anything criminal, by the way. And he will never do anything criminal.
All right,
So that's my last opinion because obviously we've done a lot on this. I want your opinion, then we'll move on. But that's much because if I keep going, I'm going to talk for 20 minutes, and I don't want to do that.
So okay, so all that stuff that you said that the Nets are asking Kyrie Irving to do, and I'm sure it's coming from the top, the owner.
Definitely coming from the top.
Okay, so now let's just say one thing about the owner. Okay, Joe Tsai. All right. His company, Alibaba, all right, has been used, and I'm reading this off of WashingtonExaminer.com, so if you want to look it up, go ahead. Or all you got to just type is in Joe Tsai genocide. To build an intrusive, omnipresent surveillance state that uses emerging technologies to track individuals with greater efficiency. I'm a few drinks in, so I'm slurring my words. Don't mind me.
Same.
So in Xinjiang, China, where the CCP, China Communist Party, was committing its genocide. He maintains that there are no human rights issues in China, and he allegedly tried to get the then Houston Rockets manager Daryl Morey fired after he supported Hong Kong democracy protesters against the CCP regime. So you want your employee, Kyrie Irving, who, one, he didn't tweet anything himself, okay, personally. He just retweeted something, a film, which Amazon still has on their streaming service, okay? And this is another league, but the NFL is getting billions of dollars from the NFL to stream games, and they still have this thing on their platform, but they blackballed Kaepernick out of the league. Whether or not he's good or not, it doesn't matter. That's besides the point. As an owner, bro, of a company, that look, I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, it doesn't even matter. I'm gonna say what I want to say because this is our podcast, and I could do it. What Joe Tsai is doing is much worse than fucking what Donald Sterling did. Okay, and everyone knows what fucking Donald Sterling did. We don't have to get into that, and we're not going to get into that because it doesn't fucking matter. That was years ago. So, hey, look, as a leader, and not just a leader, but we can't even. Is it the NBA that doesn't call them owners anymore?
Governors.
Governors, right? Exactly. Another thing that we can talk about because Draymond Green.
We're like word salad. Every
Right.
word is demeaning, according to the English language.
Yeah. Josiah, you need to look
topic.
within yourself before you ask your employees what to do. Because yeah, sure, they're athletes and they're players, but at the end of the day, they're employees of your business. So you're over here fucking funding a genocide, but you want your employee to do a bunch of crazy things. And like, bro, you have a right to freedom of speech. Like, if it's whatever, like, okay, yeah, there might.
Well, that's the argument. Do you have like you could say whatever you want, you just got to pay for the consequences, and that's freedom of speech. Meaning, like, you could say some wild shit, but you have to know that that's going to serve you consequences. But also something like that where he didn't say, he just literally one retweet. It's like all this from one retweet. It doesn't pass the smell test. I said this a couple episodes ago. It don't pass a smell test where it's the consequences does not match up to the action or the crime. You know what I mean?
It just seems
he's doing 25 to life for something very minor. I think because this could ruin his career.
Yeah, no, it not could. It already has. Like, there's already people saying wild shit, and it's just like, yo, like, you want him to apologize, not just apologize, but apologize and say the things that you want him to say. So you're making him do something that he doesn't want to do, and it's just like, how are you gonna hold him to a higher standard than you hold yourself, dog? Like, that's just so stupid, bro. Like, if I'm Kyrie Irving, bro, I'm going in that front office. I'm just like, bro, I'm not gonna do all that shit. Just trade me, or release me, because I'm sure there's a lot of teams that would take him. And with everything, the price can't be that high right now. And it sucks to say that because Kyrie Irving is one of the top 20 players in the league.
Yeah.
If not top 15, top 10, when he's actually on the court doing what he has to do. And we've all seen that. If you know basketball, you know who Kyrie Irving is, and you know what he brings to the table. So, like, I don't even want to talk about this shit no more because it's just so dumb, bro. Like, people are just so offended and feel so sensitive, and everyone feels like they have their right to just, like, judge other people and give a fuck about what other people are saying. But when someone says something about you or turns the tables on you, it's like, oh, no, I'm a victim now. No, shut the fuck up, bro. You shouldn't open your mouth in the first place, dog. Like, it's just, this shit's asinine to me. Shout out Stephen A. Smith, bro. Like, same thing with
100%.
That's why we're not even talking about it no more, because it's just, there's so many other things going on in the world, and not even just the world, but going on in our states and going on in America, that we need to be worried more about than what fucking Kyrie Irving retweets. He's not even a fucking political figure. He's not like a state judge. He's not a fucking anything, bro. This man's a basketball player, and that's all he's ever been in his
And we're
life.
acting like
and
as
we're not
if he
knocking him for
tweeted
it.
it like he's the president. It's funny. Like
Yeah,
I've
we
seen
were killing Trump for his tweets.
that we're
Like,
killing NBA basketball players for
like,
it.
yo,
It's like it's wild. And now Whoopi Goldberg apparently put out a statement this morning that she's off Twitter because Elon wants to go from charging $20 to $8 for a blue check mark, and then all this bullshit. Like, first of all, Whoopi, nobody cares about you. Nobody really has.
Yeah.
Stop trying to be relevant. And then you're getting off Twitter as if everybody's gonna follow you. I stand for Whoopi. This world is crazy, bro.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
another
wild.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's another thing that people are fucking going crazy over about and making a huge deal about Elon Musk buying Twitter and all the shit he's doing. Bro, one, he fucking bought it. So
He's
when
trying
you
to
buy
shut.
something-
Yeah, get off the platform. You don't like it.
but like if you buy something, you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. It's yours. You fucking bought it. Like he fucking bought it with cash, bro. Like he didn't finance that shit. I mean, Elon Musk got money. He's one of the richest men in the world. So I'm sure he's not. He didn't put Twitter on layaway, bro. Like that shit's his. So if
And
he
he's
wants to
trying to, and in any business decision, when you buy a business, in this point, a fucking corporation, a publicly traded company, is you change things up because obviously you bought it to change things up and things weren't working.
Right.
So it's normal. Like people are like, oh, he bought a company and then he fired people. That's what people that buy companies do. They get rid of people. They do that even in the NBA and the NFL. A new GM comes in, everybody's gone. Why?
House.
I didn't hire you, so I don't want you around. Like, it makes sense. And then people are like, oh, now he's hiring them back. Well, I don't know the details behind that, but if he wants to hire them back, that's his own decision. It's like, it's crazy because since he's bought it and since now, today, as we
Yeah,
speak, nothing's
that's what I was just
changed
about
on the
to say.
platform. Nothing's changed on the platform, technically. Everything
Oh,
still needs to
okay.
go through the
Everything's still the
processes.
same. But also, this was as of 4:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Twitter user growth hits record high in first week under Elon Musk, and that's
Because Elon, he knows what he's doing, Doug.
after all the bots he's gotten rid of and everything he's
True,
gotten
too.
away from and whatever. Like
He's trying to
yo,
get rid of parody accounts. Kathy Griffin got her account suspended,
Yeah,
and there was a big
she
thing
was
about that where
saying-
it's like, hey,
Oh.
if you imitate somebody that you're not, you'll get suspended or deleted. Like, just don't
And
do
they
it. How about
warned her. They warned her before.
It's because a
They
lot of
kept doing
people
it,
out
so,
here
like-
trying to create false information. That's how you monitor it. Everybody's about not spreading false information, but nobody wants to agree that having a parody account that looks like a real account is wrong too. So it's like, can't have it both ways, bro. People take this shit. People take the wrong thing so serious. Don't forget to vote. You got till tomorrow. Today's Monday. I didn't want to vote tomorrow because I have a lot of shit to do, but I'm going to try to make it a priority in my life. I wanted to go last week. Couldn't. I'm planning a few things. I'm doing a lot of things. So I'll try to do that tomorrow. But if I'm not able to, I'm not filling you up with propaganda and all this bullshit. Vote or don't vote. Whatever. It's your fucking priority. But if you're one of those people that complain about things in your area that you hate, whether it's, hey,
do your part.
Electric costs too much. Garbage costs too much. Over here, we got a lot of fucking poor, underprivileged people walking the streets that I don't want my kids around smoking crack at the park, which I see at the basketball court that I go to. So I'm not talking far fetched. I go to play hoops a few times a week, and there's some meth, there's some crack, there's some piece, whatever they're doing, it's right there, and they're laying there doing it the entire time, every time for the last 2 years I've been hooping. So I'm not talking outrageous. I'm not talking crazy when I'm like, yeah, crack is being smoked at the park. No, I'm seeing it. I'm literally going to play basketball by myself as a grown adult and being like, I can never bring my kids here, and I live. I had my first conversation with the buddy the other day, and he was a cool guy named Ronnie. You know, I didn't want to ask him too many questions because I don't want him to know about me. But when I'm hooping and shooting around, I make sure I watch where they were moving because I don't want them to go near my bike.
They try to
You know,
play
my
you 1-on-1.
nah,
I
I'll break ankles, B.
don't
Let's
know,
move it
man.
on.
That crackhead energy be serious.
For real. All right, a few basketball points before we get into the things that we did want to prioritize in this episode. The Nets and Steve Nash part ways mutually, quote unquote. He got fired. We're moving on. Right now, we have our assistant coach. That's the highest assistant coach,
Shocker.
Jacques Vaughn, taking Ime Udoka, who got suspended from the Celtics, has been rumored. But since all this Kyrie shit went down, I don't think they're going to hire him, especially not right now. Maybe next season or in, whatever it is, they might, when things die down, because according to them, they had people complaining and whatever. So Ime Udoka, we'll see. He had like a couple, wild cases of texting and fornicating on women that he was working with. Football, real quick. Dan Snyder has some dirt on the owners and Goodell. That was a few weeks ago. Now, since Snyder, the owner of the former Redskins, former football team, current Commanders, is putting his team up for sale, and now they're getting federally investigated for their finances because a couple things been going on in that
They were just
organization.
waiting. They were just
Yeah,
waiting, bro. The Fed
couple things
was
been
just
going
waiting.
on. Yeah, some things been going on in that organization that ain't right. I heard a rumor that KD is from the DMV, which is Delaware, Washington
Yeah,
D.C.,
him and RG3 trying to do
and
something.
Virginia. Yeah, so they're trying to link up to
Get
be a part
approved
of that
together.
ownership. Currently, KD owns part of the Philadelphia Union, which is in the MLS Cup, and they lost to the LAFC, which was a great game. It went into penalty kicks this past Saturday. We were live in the lab watching football, basketball, hockey, UFC. We were deep in it. You seen that snap I sent you?
I did. I saw it. You had mad people in the lab.
Shit, we were vibing.
I'm here
All right,
for it.
that sports. That's it. And then okay, one thing before I get you on it is World Series. Astros won. They beat the Phillies
Thank
4-2 in the
God.
series. Fuck them. It's over. I'm moving on. No one's going to talk about it because nobody cares about the Astros. So
No one
they're
cares
not a
about
national team
baseball.
because nobody cares. They're cheaters. They were on Sports Center for like half a day. Football moves on. No one's going to talk about them. Nobody fucking cares. Good job, Astros. You cheated and then you won it legitly, quote unquote. We'll see in a couple of years to see what you did this year. Now,
No recession confirmed. Hopefully, maybe, but it doesn't even matter at the end of the day.
Now on Tuesday or Wednesday I think it was Tuesday. Tuesday morning, we found out on Halloween night, Takeoff from the Migos got shot by a stray in Houston, quote unquote, during a dice game, allegedly.
Mama.
Ice.
Look, man, that shit's
Talk to
sad
me.
because
I
I
know.
woke up to it. And I'm not gonna sit here on this podcast and tell you that I'm the biggest Takeoff fan or I'm the biggest Migos fan.
So you're not going to LeBron James it?
I'm not gonna liar this shit like
LeCap?
LeCap. I'm not gonna do that. But of course,
Fraud?
I've heard LeCan't shoot threes. I've heard their music over the years and everything, and it's been a staple in my playlist, whether it be at the gym, whether it be just out getting turned up for pregame, or whether it be in the club, at the bar, whatever. It doesn't matter. Wherever you go, there's a Migos song for every
Hell yeah.
occasion, and it just sucks how it happened because like they were arguing about dice and then they were arguing about basketball, and like, bro, once you get to a certain point in your
Talk to him.
career, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a celebrity, whether you're a fucking rapper, singer, actor, it doesn't matter, bro. Any profession, when you get to a point where you're famous and people know who you are, people know your face, dog, you just gotta stop doing stupid shit. And I'm not saying that he was doing stupid shit, but you
But
gotta
he
be
was in a place
careful.
that he probably shouldn't have been in.
Shouldn't have been. Exactly. You gotta
Obviously,
stop.
hindsight.
Yeah. Why are you playing dice, bro? Like, I'm not saying that's why he got, you
Got
know, shot or whatever, but bro, like at the end of the day, you gotta be smart, man. Like, you either gotta be strapped. Whether or not the strap would have helped him in this situation,
it,
it
it
doesn't
probably
matter.
wouldn't have. It would have created more chaos, probably.
Yeah, and it just sucks that was it Quavo was there? Was it
Yeah,
Quavo?
Quavo, because
Yeah,
him and Takeoff are having a little,
yeah.
tiff.
And it just sucks that he was there
And
too. And
Takeoff is Quavo's uncle, or is it no?
uncle, yeah.
Quavo's Takeoff's uncle, I think. It's crazy.
Regardless,
Those fun.
I'm not.
You got a bunch of
Yeah,
House of Dragon fucking family trees over here.
it just sucks, bro. It just sucks because like there's been so many artists in the past like 4 or 5 years that have been taken away from us so young. This man was 28, bro. Like he was my age. Like, it's stupid, bro. It's like violence and all that kind of shit just makes no sense. Like, I mean, like that shit like fucked me up because one, he's my age, he's young. I listen to his shit, I listen to his music, and I mean, it's just, bro, it's just so dumb. It's just silly. It's stupid. I'm not gonna say bless you because you don't tell motherfuckers bless you. So fuck
Yeah,
you,
that's
bless
weird. That's weirdo shit.
you. Yeah, it's just, bro, like if you want to have an altercation with someone, just fight.
I mean, yeah, that's another
Fight,
I mean,
bro.
let's be
Like,
real. That's not gonna happen. But there has been a lot of rappers dying over the last 5 years. I was gonna go through the list, but you could figure it out on your own. It's a lot. It's too many. Whether it's drugs, self-inflicted, which is the majority, and then the other is violence, where it's a shooting.
Nipsey, fucking Young Dolph, Mac. I mean, there was a whole list they
And the
put out.
list is like not irrelevant rappers. It's
Just
either
recently,
some of them
PNB,
are like young and upcoming, but most are coming like in their
Juice World,
not
like
in their prime, but got hit records, and then the others are like been in the game for a while. Like you know, it's crazy. I went to Amigos Drake concert in Miami a few years back, and we were hammered, but we had a great time. And the one thing I remember about um, Takeoff is out of the three that were performing, he was the only one that literally sat there on like a speaker or wherever he was, and he didn't move the whole time. It was like
it just
like he
ad
was he was doing his whole thing and didn't move. Like Quavo and Offset were moving around, whatever. He sat there. I don't know if it was for a whole hour, but out of the majority of that hour, they were like performing that or before Drake or after. He was just chilling, and that's my memory from him. I'm not gonna act like La Cap or La Fraud or La Liar and say I've been a
bro.
fan of them since
Fucking,
2010. But
I
like
saw.
when I first heard them, I didn't agree with it because it was way different from somebody from New York listening to rap. But once I got on them, I was like, I fuck with these dudes. They're together, they're family, they rap, like they're entertaining, and they're consistent. And for one of their members to go down sad. That's all I got to say
I
about
got a
that.
video. I got a video on the show real quick.
Yep,
It
go
was
ahead.
funny to me because this man did. They were on the Breakfast Club, and he did the whole interview just straight ad libs. I don't know if you saw it, but that shit that shit was funny as fuck to me. I'm pulling it up right now. I already got it. Fucking pulled up. But yeah, man, no, that shit's sad. At the end of the day, like you never want to see anyone just go out or.
You know what I'm
Y'all
saying?
just bought her a house.
Out the mom. You
Tell
did.
you, Mama. How'd that feel to buy your mom's a house, man?
Feel good. Accomplishments on.
But you guys support each other. Like Takeoff, you have the album coming, the mixtape with Yachty. Is it an album or a mixtape?
Just wait on it.
Just wait on it.
Got to be.
But Takeoff be rapping. He even confused Nicki Minaj because Nicki said she didn't realize you was rapping about her on Motorsport.
Yeah.
Now with the album, are you paying attention to what people are saying about it?
He looks at the camera too.
Are you
Yeah,
looking with,
he
with,
knows what he's doing.
with Culture 2 trending and everything? Are you looking at what people are saying?
Just wait on it.
You know what I'm
Y'all
saying?
just bought a
Cap.
That's funny. R.I.P.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's sad. 20 years old. R.I.P. Takeoff. Forever immortalized.
Pointless, bro. Pointless, useless, like no reason. Like so many other things that you can do.
Oh, somebody's angry at my house. I apologize for that background noise, guys. I don't know what you heard, but anyway, music. Drake and 21 Savage. Have you listened to that album?
Yeah, I've
Have you
listened to it.
Yeah.
I listened to it a few times. I mean, out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 6.5 out of 10. Just because Drake, man, I don't know what Drake's been on his last few albums. It just hasn't been it. Like he's got to figure whatever out. Like it's Drake though. Like people still gonna like, suck his meat and be like, "Oh, this is the greatest album ever." Blah 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 blah. But I feel like 21 saved Drake from a lot of songs, and Drake was just saying whatever on it. But it's still gonna get plays. It's gonna go platinum. They're touring. They're doing whatever soon. So I need Alvin Kamara touchdown so bad.
Yeah, I didn't listen. I listened to a couple songs. Obviously, the real quick today. I got to listen to it during the week, and then I'll have
They
maybe
sampled Daft Punk,
opinion on it.
which a lot of people were happy about. Yeah, and Circo
Nice.
Loco. That's probably one of my favorite songs off the album, to be honest. And hold on, there's another one that I really like too. I'll tell you right now. On BS was pretty good. Circo Loco, and Pussy and Millions with Travis Scott was pretty good. Those were the ones that stood out to me.
I'll try to listen during the week. I got a lot of driving I got to do this week, so I'll be doing podcasts and music and stuff. Yeah, for real, right? But I heard a lot of the art from the the album art got like some controversy of like who's the girl on the album art and all that. I don't know if you heard that on Twitter.
I saw some tweets about it, but I didn't really pay too much attention to it. Supposedly there was a lot of like sub tweets and like things in the album, like she be rapping, but she a 10, but I put that shit on mute. People were saying it's
with Megan Thee Stallion
like
shit.
Yeah, like, Megan Thee Stallion.
Like
she went off about it too.
Whatever. Like, stop trying to be relevant. Like, it's a rap lyric. Relax. Yeah. Stop trying to sue over a rap lyric. Quick shout outs for me. Shout out Matt Spo, our boy. His birthday was on Thursday. Yep. He came over. We had a great time this weekend, vibing in the lab, like you said. Shout out my boy Ben, who runs the. Sorry, I'm pulling it up. Broward Vintage on Instagram. You can follow him. Is it Broward? Yep, Broward Vintage. He basically sells fucking thrift store vintage T-shirts. Got me this jacket, New Jersey Nets. I don't know how the fuck he keeps finding New Jersey Nets shit all the time. He's got me Brooklyn Nets stuff, New Jersey Nets. They're hard to come by because they weren't a popular team in the 90s and early 2000s as far as merch. So he keeps finding vintage. This jacket,
that shit fire. That's wool on the inside?
I don't know what, but it's quality. Whoever had this and owned it before didn't rock it a lot. And this jacket, if I was to sell it, I could probably sell this for $150 easily, but I'm never going to sell it. So shout out Ben for the hookup for the week. Broward Vintage on Instagram, and his website, I have it pulled up too. Or no, on eBay, Broward Vintage. If you like his stuff, he's got 99.5 positive feedback, 6,000.2K items sold, 441 followers. So Broward Vintage, go look him up because he's hooked me up with so much shit that for free, I owe him a lot. if you can get net shit, dog, and he finds his shit in a bin. He's like, I'm like, what? Where'd you find that at? A bin in a thrift store. Yeah, holler. Great gift. I appreciate you. And last one, RP Aaron Carter. We all knew what was gonna happen. We all knew.
Oh shit! Come on.
We all knew what was gonna happen for years.
We had an inkling. We had an inkling.
Aaron Carter, DED. I'm not celebrating it. I'm just saying, hey, there's certain people in life that they go about a certain way of life. You know it's going to come quickly for them and swiftly. He died apparently in his bathtub, whatever he did. Not very important overall. Hopefully people have better things to say about me when I die, but he was young. It sucks. Part of the game, B. You want to be popular,
That's
famous, and have a lot of money at a young age. That's the game.
It's the game.
As Cameron once said and paid in full. I'm not going to drop the bomb, but I'm going to say people die every day. People get shot every day, B. It's just the game. What about shout-outs from you?
Shit, man. Shout out Tyler, bro. Shout out Hoop Diamonds coming up on the pod and kicking it with us for almost an hour and just talking NBA, talking his page, how he, came up into the social media scene and built his, profile from 0 to 100, where it's at now, and hard work and dedication. And there was a lot of other things that I really wanted to get into with him and kick it with, but
right?
it's not going to be.
We got to have him back on. Another reason to have him back on.
Yeah, it's not going to be the last time he's on. Shout out fucking Amanda Lemos, man. UFC over the weekend. It was a great fight. Amanda Lemos versus Marina Rodriguez. Marina number 3, Amanda Lemos number 7, and Lemos did her thing, bro. They felt each other out first round, second round. They did a little bit more, and she fucking knocked her out standing. Brazil versus Brazil. So that was cool to see. There's so much shit going on in the UFC. Like, UFC doesn't disappoint. Saturday, we got a fucking banger of bangers, 2 championship fights. Third fight on the main card, or third fight before the main event, is fucking Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier. Then you got Carlos Esparza and Wei Li. And then main event is fucking Adesanya and Alex Pereira. Those two got fucking history together. They got beef. Like, bro, the UFC is just a gift that keeps on giving. So, shout out Dana White, yo. I need that contract, dog. Like, I'm up next, fam. Like, just holler at your boy, dog. Like, I'm here. I'm here. Patrick Mahomes' voice. I'm here. I'm here.
You like that? You like that?
Shout out Joe Mixon, too. 5 TDs. Thank God I didn't play.
Shout out Kirk Cousins. Being like
yeah,
that.
Kirk Cousins. Yeah, put that shit on.
Put that shit on. Oh, shit. Watanabe. Oh, we got an injury. Fuck.
Ice Kirk. Kirk Ice. Kirko.
Ice Kirk. He's out. Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football. Let's wrap it up. Elvis Escobar, Fort Sama, episode 48. Shout out Hoop Diamonds. Go follow them. Go watch them. He's doing his thing.
Like,
he'll be back on again.
Comment.
Enter the lab.
And do it on us too. Pause.
Exit the lab. Peace.
1.